don't know how to start the pod this week. I have no idea what to say.
You want me to get Athena and want me to get her to start it off?
The cat? You're going to let the cat start the pod this week?
Yeah. Do you want me to go get her?
No, she's had enough trouble as it is. She just had to watch 2 episodes of Star Wars with us. She fell asleep in the middle of The Mandalorian.
True, she did finally turn away. She was like, well, that's enough for me.
And we're here with this cat in Rachel's apartment. It's Wednesday night, and that must mean it is Starformers night. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And this is our weekly discussion where we talk about Star Wars and...
Transformers. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was listening back to the pod recently, and I realized it would make more sense for me to... I say my name, you say your name. It also would make more sense for me to say Star Wars than you say Transformers. So I caught you off guard with it this week to see. I just wanted to see...
See if I'm paying attention.
Just a typical Zoomer over here getting on your phone right away. I have made Rachel give me that look. You guys couldn't see the look. I called her a fake fan in the middle of The Mandalorian tonight, and the look that she gave me was so good.
True offense.
Well, as always, we like to start off our night with any news, any recent thoughts, any updates on the pod, any notes from last week, anything along those lines. Rachel, you got anything?
Yeah, I actually have quite a bit. So Variety reported yesterday that, the first thing they reported was that Taika Waititi is looking to star in his Star Wars film in a similar capacity to what he did in Jojo Rabbit. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, I kind of loved him in Jojo Rabbit. Mm-hmm. Despised Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. This is also speculation because no movie exists unless there's a trailer. Sure. Like no. So I don't know how I feel about it. Just. Yeah. I think it was funny the first time, but now it almost feels like it's. I don't want to say that Taika's overstayed his welcome. But Korg has.
Yeah, sure. He's got an incredible track record as a director. Even like the fact that Thor: Love and Thunder is far and away his worst film speaks, I think, greatly to the quality of his other films. And sure. It is definitely an outlier. It's a COVID production. It's part of the really wonky latter half of Marvel's Phase 4, where all of the movies were wonky, and so I think with the weird degrading quality of the Marvel films over the last year or so, I think it's easy to say that is not Taika's fault for the most part.
And granted, they wasn't. Not to turn this into a Marvel podcast, but Thor: Love and Thunder was supposed to come out after Guardians 3, right?
Correct.
So that probably went through a whole lot of rewritings.
It's a really good point. Absolutely, yeah. So, I think you can look at Taika's other work and see that I think it speaks for itself. And I do think he's potentially his ego becomes more inflated as time goes on. But I think there was still a lot of really good in Thor: Love and Thunder. His depiction of the villain was really excellent. I think the general story structure of the movie was still mostly. Still solid storytelling. He still works with the actors. Incredible. The Christian Bale's performance in that film is amazing. And Christian Bale is an incredible actor, but it was still a relatively different role for him. So I still trust him. The episodes he directed, The Mandalorian, are really excellent as well. Sure.
And he was he IG? Or he was another droid, wasn't he?
Oh yes, he was the IG. Yes, yeah. He's the voice of the IG droid in Mandalorian. So
it's hard to tell because it's a droid voice and not Taika Waititi.
At this point, I'm not.
That was a bad impression. I've never been able to do a New Zealand accent.
At this point, I am so ready to have more theatrically released Star Wars that I won't really turn my nose up at anything, especially a Taika Waititi directed one. So let's just get it made, in my opinion.
Well, speaking of theatrical release Star Wars, Kevin Feige's and Patty Jenkins movies have been shelved.
Oh man, it's it's like there's a competition between Lucasfilm and DC for who can manage their films worse, their franchise. Like, seriously, Star Wars and DC Comics, Superman, Batman, like, these should be the easiest things to turn into massively successful franchises, especially in this day and age where especially superhero stuff is so popular and science fiction stuff is popular. It's just like, and The Mandalorian is popular. Like, why can we not get any decent DC or Star Wars films? Why is this such a difficult task to accomplish?
I kind of wanted to make a joke that Patty Jenkins movie got shelved by herself because Chris Pine wouldn't be in it.
Interesting.
I don't think that's it. That's just my personal headcanon because she asked him at least twice to be in it.
Yeah. And she may have done it to herself by making a very weird and not so good Wonder Woman sequel.
Yeah,
but
that's hard.
I think that is kind of, but also the whole thing with Kevin Feige, I don't know. Anyways, it's no surprise the news of Star Wars films being canceled. So,
well, I mean, it's just
another
kind of,
day.
it's one of those things where it's like, if it's not in production, it doesn't. It almost it doesn't exist. Even if it's in the storyboard, it doesn't exist.
Oh, of course. Any other news from your end?
Yeah. So last episode of Mando, we had the Azellans, the Babu Freaks. So they're voiced by Shirley Henderson. Do you know what she's famous for?
I do not.
She's Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter.
Bizarre.
I know. It's
Bizarre.
Crazy. So she's Babu Freak, and then the other Azellans in Mando, season 3, episode 1.
Interesting.
The other information I saw this week, and this is a TikTok, and it was an interview with James Arnold Taylor, who voices Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars, and he was telling a story at some panel that apparently, I think this is early on in Clone Wars, I think around season 3, he and Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka Tano, came up with the idea to suggest to Dave Filoni, jokingly, that they should do a musical episode. They're like, this would be such a good musical, and apparently Dave Filoni despises that idea, which I think is just really funny. And so the point of the panel, James Arnold Taylor is just like, if you want to make Dave Filoni mad, just talk to him about a musical episode, which I just think is hysterical. I don't know. It's just a fun little tidbit.
It is interesting.
So, which kind of makes me laugh because I don't want to get too off topic, but considering I just watched Batman the Brave and the Bold, there were like 6 more musical episodes in those series than I ever expected to watch in a Batman show.
That's hilarious.
It's so weird. I'm like, well, this is unexpected, but either way, kind of a fun interview between some of the Clone Wars voice actors and their tormenting of Dave Filoni.
I think I would do the same.
I mean, can you imagine just, hey, Dave, what if we just did a musical? It just...
I would I like, I go back and forth. I sometimes really enjoy the concept of musicals as comedies. I think that music is an incredible form of comedy, but also I don't think sometimes the joke is just the fact that characters are singing, and that's the whole joke, and that itself is not a good joke. So
Batman the Brave and the Bold, what brings to mind is, so the joke is that the characters are singing, but the reason is because I can't remember it's some E-list or D-list villain who has like a machine that makes them all sing.
Okay.
Which it's so they show up to fight and they're all singing. It's funny.
Sure.
But so it's like a bit of a plot device, but also to me that felt like the producers going, what if we just made them sing? Like, what if we just made everyone sing for an episode? That's just the energy that episode gave me. Anyways, back to not Batman.
Well, taking one step back to the comment on this woman, Shirley Henderson, the voice of the Azellans. Because one of the basic elements of this podcast is things Rachel and Cameron are interested in.
Third person.
Not necessarily interested in, but a movie we went and saw together in the theater last year was See How They Run. And Shirley Henderson played Agatha Christie in that movie.
You're kidding.
Yeah. I'm not kidding.
You know
it's
who else
true.
was in See How They Run?
You know what? That makes this relevant. Let's bring it up.
Relevant.
Rachel and I have a running joke of her sending me movies that we should see. And me being confused as to why she wants to see them until there's one particular actor's name. I see you want to reveal this actor's name, Rachel.
Oh my goodness.
David Oyelowo.
Oh, David Oyelowo, yeah.
And why do you like David Oyelowo?
You'll make me say it.
Yep.
Make me out myself because he voices Callus in Rebels, and Callus is my favorite boy. Man, I don't know. I'm a sucker for bad guys like turning good. It's my jam. So he's my favorite. So whenever he's in something.
So this was a movie we went and saw in theaters simply because Rachel wanted to see our boy David Oyelowo on the big screen.
Also, I did that to you a couple weeks ago. I sent you just a picture of the Cloverfield Paradox theatrical poster, and I just captioned it, "We should see this." And you went, "Why?" And I just zoomed in on David's name and sent it a screenshot. It's good. Top is a good running joke if you ask me. I love it.
Well, in other Starformers news, I was flipping through the Hollywood Reporter this week, and I was reading. First, I don't know why I clicked on it. I was reading an article about the Nickelodeon Choice Awards, which I don't know why. There was something I do not know why I clicked on it. But as I was skimming through the article, this particular sentence caught my eye. Also during the show, Adam Sandler was honored with the King of Comedy Silver Blimp, while Optimus Prime of the Transformers franchise was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. Phenomenal. Absolutely mind-blowing. To me, from my perspective, this is bearing the lead. This was the most incredible thing to read. That
it wasn't about Peter Cullen. It was
not Peter Cullen.
About the character.
And I'm not realizing that we definitely need to watch this acceptance speech live on mic.
Optimus Prime's acceptance speech?
I mean, it's almost certainly got. I'm pretty sure they had like an animated. Oh. I didn't even think about watching it until just now. I'm going to see if I can find it. But this was just so funny to me. You know, but while I'm looking this up, let's discuss whether this is a earned award, because, you know, Optimus Prime is an incredible performance, but he only plays himself. And he's only ever played himself. He doesn't have much range as an actor.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this might be in Spanish. The title.
Which continuity is it?
Optimus Prime. Okay, this might not be it. No, I think it is.
Let me see.
Wait, why is my computer not making any sound?
Is it not going to make sound because of we're recording?
No, the recording has nothing to do with my computer. Oh, I think I know why it was doing that. Okay, let's see if we can get some.
Oh.
Thank you all. I am honored to accept this Lifetime Achievement Award on this special night. Let this award seal the bond between humans, Maximals, and Autobots as we fight together to protect the planet. This is Optimus Prime signing off. Kids' Choice Awards, roll out.
Rachel is dying. She's absolutely dying over there. It's hilarious.
Top 10 things I didn't expect to hear today.
So I was hoping for a little bit more comedy, but
that's hysterical in and of itself.
I was hoping he got slimed or something. Or
that was also Rise of the Beast, Optimus Prime, so the new movie one.
Yeah. I'm also now learning. I mean, the thing I took away from that I did not know is that the
technology's come too far.
The technology's bad. That animation looked like an app, like a mobile game.
Like a filter.
No, it I did not know that the animal Transformers were called Maximals. This was not knowledge I had in my head.
You think I would know what the Decepticons were called, but I do not.
Oh, that's just the good guy animal Transformers. They're called Maximals.
I gotta Google it because I'm.
Anyways,
dumb. Also because I will probably never watch it, and I hate to be the person that's like, I'm not gonna watch something because of
force you to.
Okay, well, I won't watch it by myself. We would have to watch it for the sole purpose of researching for the podcast.
Yes, okay.
I won't watch it out of fun because I don't want to be the person that's like, I don't want to watch something because of the style. However,
the animation is very grating to look at.
I've heard it gets. I was told it gets better.
I want to see how much Rise of No, wait. What's the name of the show? Beast Wars. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to see like how long it would take us. The official name is Beast Wars: Transformers. That's kind of interesting. That's not the other way around. There are 52 episodes. Oh my gosh.
4 seasons.
Oh, gross. How did this show go for? That's wild. This says 3 seasons.
Oh, I don't know.
Still though, holy cow.
Apparently they're just, so it's Maximals and then just Decepticons. Which is kind of fun. Well, I guess there's the difference.
Anyways, so that was my one bit of news. Though I did have a funny story to tell, and this story
so sorry, it's Maximals and Predacons. My bad.
I thought you were telling me no, I'm not allowed to tell a story.
No, sorry, it's the Maximals
Predacons.
and the Predacons,
Okay.
and they're both sides are descendants of each respectful side.
Well, that's useful information to have.
You're welcome.
Anyways, just a fun story that I referenced last week on the pod. That's just kind of a fun element of Transformers in our life. Our local grocery store has a Wahlburgers in it, which, if you don't know, is a burger chain owned by the Wahlberg actor brothers, Mark and Donnie Wahlberg. I think they have a third brother as well. He's not an actor.
Donnie was an actor.
Yeah, he's like in Saw is his most famous movies.
I've never seen the Saw movies.
And
I've never saw the Saw movies.
And so we don't eat at Wahlburger specifically very frequently, but the grocery store itself sells really good Chinese food, and we eat in the Wahlburgers when we eat our Chinese food. And for this Wahlburgers themed restaurant, where on the ceiling they have movie titles written of movies they've been in, they have a singular movie poster of all the movies that Mark Wahlberg has been in, of all the movies Donnie Wahlberg has been in. They have one movie poster in this restaurant. And if you follow our Facebook, you've already seen the photo, because I posted a photo of Rachel and myself standing next to it.
Doxed.
Transformers 5.
No, it's
The Last Night.
I thought it was 4.
No, it's 5.
Oh, I didn't look that hard. I'm sorry.
You were standing right next to it.
I was facing away from it. I was looking at the camera. Cameron.
Transformers The Last Night, right there. Bizarre.
Sorry, I was too distracted by the fact that I didn't know how to pose.
Absolutely bizarre choice on the part of whoever decorated this Wahlburgers.
Maybe they just really liked that film. Maybe it was the newest one when they made it.
No, I think it's relatively new. I think it was built within the last year or two, because I remember when they remodeled it. It could have been another grocery store in town. I'm pretty sure. You could. I mean, that's not a bad guess, but
Hysterical. Too good.
It's yeah.
Oh, now they're gonna know where I work.
Well, people wouldn't know that if you didn't say it.
Can we edit that out? I'm kidding. It's not like I'm on my work's website or anything.
Anyways, so that's my 2 bits. Do you have anything else before we get into talking about the Bad Batch?
That's all I got.
All right, the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, The Outpost. We have 0 days since a Crosshair sighting.
Man, the worst. It unfortunately got spoiled for me, which sucks, because people don't know how to, I don't know, not post spoilers at like 7 a.m. anymore on the day that something comes out. Anyways.
I'm going to look real fast. It's been 56 days. So we went 55 days consecutively without a Crosshair
55
appearance.
Days of peace. Peace and well-being.
And so this episode is a snow-themed episode.
Imagine if we got the Thing episode after last week's Alien.
I would have loved that.
That would have been good. But
well, that's not what we got.
We could only...
The scariest thing in this episode is Crosshair himself, and Crosshair's
closely
unpredictable element of what he believes and doesn't believe in any given episode.
Closely followed by almost scarily unrendered Lieutenant Nolan.
Is that his name? I was trying to find his name
Nolan.
Here.
No offense to the Nolans
Lieutenant
out there.
Nolan. So this is a theme of this season, at least from his perspective, from Crosshair's perspective, is having to deal with all the new snooty Imperial officers.
Yeah.
And that's quite a great running theme, I think, is just how much these guys suck.
You think he's been able to eat lunch once?
They keep interrupting him.
Maybe that's
why he's so skinny.
That's why he's so skinny. Man can't even eat in peace.
Man, IMDb changed their episode guides up in the corner. Wow, they changed their page layout.
Disgusting.
I couldn't find it.
We'll protest
okay, Season 2, Episode
12.
12. Right, there it is. The Outpost. This has a 9.2 on IMDb. People love Crosshair, I guess.
You know, I saw an interesting comment that I saw online that the best Bad Batch episodes either don't have the Bad Batch in them or aren't about the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which does seem to be a running trend.
I agree. So I'm looking at the voice actor who played Lieutenant Nolan. I almost called him Christopher Nolan because the actor's name is Crispin Freeman.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Does he look like him?
No.
Oh, okay. Sometimes Star Wars animation likes to cast voice actors that look like the characters.
Okay, here's our weekly Transformer search to see if he ever played a Transformer. No, he's never played a Transformer. Wait, do I need to hit C? Oh, no, I didn't get all the entire page. All right, wait, there's still hope. Yes, he did. In Transformers Robots in Disguise, he played Sawtooth. Every time. I love it. Oh, it's great.
I think I watched the first couple episodes of Robots in Disguise. It's like technically a spiritual successor to Transformers Prime, but I just haven't seen it.
He also plays Grimlock and Breakdown in the video game War for Cybertron.
Huh, that's cool.
So there's yet again another Transformers connection.
One.
We always figure out a way to find it. It's always there. This guy does a lot of video games. Man, voice actors really work. They are. He plays Firefly in the Arkham video games.
Oh, are you kidding me? I love those games.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight was not. I was not expecting it to be my favorite.
Oh, it is your favorite. Very interesting.
I think it is. I think I love Arkham City. That was really enjoyable, but I really love just how much space there is in Arkham Knight. I think it's actually kind of like size-wise one of the biggest maps in video. Well, maybe it was when it came out. Very enjoyable. I would love to play through it again. I should do that. Anyways.
So back to Bad Batch.
I love Batman, but...
And they... Lieutenant Nolan takes Crosshair to this distant planet to do some defending of some supposedly precious cargo, and they get there and there's like 3 clones.
However, we got our second scene of when they get to the ice planet and they come off the ship. There's a shot where it's angled down at the ground, and the first couple troopers walk by, then Lieutenant Nolan, and then Crosshair. When he gets into the camera, we have the second clip of the wah noise.
Yeah, the sound, the musical sting.
Yeah, the musical sting.
The sound that Crosshair himself just emanates into the universe.
It's a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But so I thought that was funny.
And we get a nice bearded clone named Mayday.
Shaggy clone.
And he's also kind of, especially once he puts on his armor, he looks very much like a mummy. And or Dengar, the famous bounty hunter.
We had a very good couple of comments of, you said mummy variant clone. And I said, it's his Halloween outfit. And you just went, it's his Dengar cosplay. So, one thing I wanted to comment is interesting. I mean, so we see Lieutenant Nolan has a disdain for clones throughout this because it's pretty obvious. He doesn't really try to hide it. But one thing I want to talk about that Mayday mentioned, it's when they're out scouting. And Mayday says, I don't know if Crosshair asks how long he's been out there, but he says, we've been here about a year protecting this cargo. So it's kind of one of those things that's like, okay, so maybe from... It kind of, I mean, I guess it's maybe been about a year since the Empire took over, at least. Unless they were stationed there by the Republic, and then the Empire was like, y'all keep doing y'all's thing.
Well, considering what they're guarding, then they've probably been out there.
True, yeah.
I mean, it's probably been at least a year, since... I mean, I don't know. I normally you would presume television shows take place in real time, as in like there's a...
True.
Every season is somehow a year, whether it's the episode season itself or the time between. But after Favreau's recent comments about the timeline of Mandalorian, who knows?
Who knows?
But it's
another
not been that long.
News thing that I forgot to share, but I'll just share it when we get to Mandalorian.
Okay. So they send Commander Mayday and Crosshair out into the mountains to track down these raiders who have stolen 2 cargo crates. And
we have a nice detail of Crosshair getting flashbanged by the infrared and the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just a nice detail. It's what he deserves for existing.
And so they go up into the mountains and they find these raiders, and you called them Tundra Raiders instead of Tusken Raiders.
They kind of sounded like.
Yeah, they very. I think
not just the men.
Star Wars often finds a way around the morality of murdering people.
Life finds a way.
Or Star Wars writers find a way. And so they take these guys out, but they cause an avalanche in the battle. And Mayday, I don't exactly know why he did what he did.
Did what?
He pushes Crosshair
saves Crosshair?
over.
I don't know either.
But they
were
both running straight for a rock. I guess it's implied that Crosshair didn't see that they were running straight for the big boulder.
No, from what I saw, or maybe I saw it wrong, was that I thought Mayday tried to push Crosshair behind the rock.
Yeah, he pushed him to the side.
I thought he was trying to push him rock.
Well, I mean, it would make sense that you'd want to get behind the rock, but they were running at it.
They're also running in like knee-deep snow. Maybe he was pushing him out of the way of the rock, because we did see
Mayday gets pinned against it.
Mayday gets, pinned against a rock, and like, I don't know how. I think like avalanches fall at like 70 miles an hour at least, depending on how much speed it picks up.
Sure.
I think it's like getting hit by like concrete, depending on how much.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, him getting pinned against that rock was no good.
You had a good comment. So, and Crosshair loses his helmet too. But he survives, digs himself out, and he goes to find Mayday, and you just said, Mayday, more like Snow Day.
That's one of my favorite joke formats. I was trying to come up with one for Crosshair too, but nothing. Actually, we skipped one thing.
More like no hair.
We skipped one thing, which was Crosshair steps on a mine, and Mayday gets him out of it by putting down some pins to hold it down, so that when he releases his foot, Crosshair doesn't become no hair, even though he's already no hair. And that actually was kind of an interesting moment, because that whole sequence is what sets up the ending of the episode. So that sequence is they find one of the dead bodies of the raiders, and Mayday's like, why did they leave the body behind? And Mayday's like, it's just, Crosshair's like, it's just dead weight. And so then Crosshair immediately finds himself in a position where he is dead weight, and but Mayday still helps him.
I thought it would have been funny because Mayday steps away. I think Crosshair makes a comment like, you don't trust yourself? And he's like, I do, but I'm not stupid. And steps around the corner. And I just thought it would have been funny. I don't know, it just would have been a little silly, goofy joke if Crosshair stepped off and just exploded anyways.
Or you hear Mayday step around the corner, you hear the noise of a different mine being stepped on.
and you made a comment, Crosshair steps off the one and immediately onto another one.
Yep. So after they get away from the avalanche, Mayday is greatly injured and says, leave me behind. But Crosshair obviously has a newfound respect for this man. And in a very overly long sequence, they walk across the mountains in the storm, and they even cuddle at one point.
They do. I said, you made a comment. You're like, Nick Sant, is that you? When he was covered in snow with the beard.
Yes.
But I made a comment because they're walking through this whole snowstorm, and Crosshair doesn't have a helmet, and I said it's Crosshair's spite that keeps him warm.
Very believable.
Also,
and specifically his spite for Nolan. He's like, I'm gonna prove this guy wrong.
I made a comment where like this has like similarities to Rebels season 2 episode The Honorable Ones, where Callus and Zeb are trapped on the Geonosis moon and they have to put aside their differences to live. So interesting comment. So here's my question. I think I mentioned this. Do you think they talked at all when they were walking back, or they just walked in silence for a couple days?
That sounds more like Crosshair's style.
Or imagine, Crosshair is helping. I was left behind once. on Camino.
This is male friendship, Rachel.
Oh my gosh.
Trekking mostly dead through the mountains silently.
After being mortally injured by a completely preventable accident.
Yeah, and so they finally make it back to the base, and skipped another thing. What they discovered right before the avalanche was that the so-called precious cargo was armor and
Palpatine
equipment.
dolls.
That was what I said when they went down to the snow to inspect it. Unsold Palpatine dolls. It was actually armor and equipment for the new army, the new Stormtrooper armor that we saw back at the beginning of the season. That's kind of a mix between Stormtrooper and Clone Trooper armor. And Mayday is quite disturbed at this because they have been incredibly under budgeted and under equipped at his station.
And also there's a comment, he's like, we've done so much, and at the beginning of the episode we actually see, is it Noel, I think another Imperial officer taking 3 clones into a ship, and he's like, I'm taking you to retirement, which is curious if that's actual retirement or if they just like quote unquote take these clones to a farm to live out the rest of their days, quote unquote.
This feels like it's really building up to the clone rebellion, and I'm super excited. Psyched for it.
I'm excited.
It's gonna be fun.
We'll
maybe not for the clones.
Maybe not for maybe not for this season.
Oh, sure. And so they make it back, and Nolan is quite displeased with the fact that they only came back with themselves and not the containers.
We also have an interesting scene where all the other soldiers notice them walking this whole mile across the background, and no one, not all at once. Not everyone rushed to help at once. So I thought that was kind of funny. You see them like limping their way across this expanse.
And so they collapse, and Nolan is yelling at him, and Crosshair's like, we need a medic, and he's like, no, I'm not going to give you a medic. That's what Nolan says, and then Crosshair's like, he'll die, and off screen you hear this mucusy single cough from Mayday. So funny.
Hey, he didn't die if he didn't die on screen, maybe he was faking it. Maybe he was just being dramatic. Maybe if we act dead, we can get away. I don't know. Maybe
that's the only way to get free healthcare if you're dead. So Nolan's like, get back to work, and he walks off, and Crosshair stand up and does pretty much exactly what he did at the end of the last episode he was in, and just lay a fellow out.
And then he collapsed dramatically, and the other soldiers are like, drop it. And then he wakes up on the Mount Tanto.
I have no idea.
It's the mountain facility that Nala Se is at.
Yes.
So whatever that called. Maybe it's in my last notes. But anyways.
And that's where the episode ends. Is him. The scientist woman's like, if you cooperate, maybe you'll survive. And she says you'll meet the doctor soon. I wonder who that is.
I wonder if it's Nala Se.
Could be.
I mean, Nala Se might, or I don't know, someone might try, or maybe it's the one guy.
Oh, who knows? I guess we'll figure out soon, hopefully.
So I think
in 2 seasons we'll figure out.
Yeah, I think, and we talked about. I mean, you kind of mentioned some predictions that. So we have 3 more weeks of Bad Batch, really. Episode 13, 14, and then 15, 16 on the 29th. They're going to have 2 episodes of the season finale. So I know you. I think you've got a pretty good prediction that somehow the Bad Batch is going to end up in that facility.
Probably the Empire kidnaps Omega. And they come to save her, which would be very, very similar to Mandalorian season 2.
Also very similar to the first season of Bad Batch, where Hunter gets captured and taken to Camino. Right?
Oh, is that why they went back to Camino? I do not remember that at all.
I'm pretty sure that's why they went back to Camino. Hunter gets captured and taken there, and they're like, we gotta go save him. And that's where they encounter Crosshair. Again, for the first time, he's like, I had my chip removed. And everyone's like, and I'm like, I knew it. Called it.
And so I would imagine the Bad Batch are going to end up at that facility somehow and not know that Crosshair is there. They're going to see him. And
it's like, oh, sorry, no, continue.
And there's like, what's actually going to happen is going to be conflicted on whether they should save him, and then something's going to happen. But what I would love to happen is they see him and they go, peace, and just keep running.
It's gonna be like that like American Tail, where they keep coming within like 10 feet of each other, but they never encounter each other.
I have no idea what you're
talking about. The animated film, An American Tail.
Never seen it.
About the little Russian mice who gets separated from his family and has to go find his family in America.
Sounds bad. I guess tonight is just my night to continually piss off Rachel. The look, she's just stunned silence right now. You've never even mentioned it before. How can you be this emotionally connected to this movie?
You're old. I thought you would have seen it.
I think you would have brought up. You bring up Kung Fu Panda enough. I would think
it's a great film. I think we've watched it together.
I've never seen this movie. Never. I've kind of heard of it.
Do I commit to the bit?
Is she just gonna leave? She's leaving.
Did I commit to the bit?
Okay, I guess I'll finish out the pod by myself. Oh, the cat's watching her as she leaves. Oh, and the cat immediately just looked back where she was already looking. Oh, she's coming back.
It's okay. I won't leave you here with him.
So, anyways, overall opinions on this episode.
Educated.
Okay.
I would say the running bit in that movie is so Fievel, the mouse, little mouse boy, has been trying to find his family for a while, and there's like not a running bit. But throughout the movie, there are so many times that they're in the same area, but they just never interact. They never find each other until the end of the film.
And so...
Well, I know one listener out here is going to understand this.
Overall opinions on the episode, I thought it was kind of drawn out and not as good version as the last Crosshair episode, where he teamed up with a clone and learned a valuable lesson about friendship and what's good and what's not good.
We've never seen Cody.
Not since.
We still haven't seen. He's dead.
He gets into that farm. He's running around with all the clones, all the separatist leaders, Padme. They're all just running around on that farm together.
And all the Jedi. That's right.
All the Jedi, all the younglings. All the Mandalorians just running around on a farm having a great old time. All the senators who speak out against Palpatine and his new skin condition.
It's they put Alderaan out there?
Not quite. That's later. Not there yet.
Oh, no.
All the people who get in mining accidents. Andor's parents.
Cassian's real parents. Oh, man. That's... That's good.
Anyways, but I do...
Ezra's parents.
I did really feel for Mayday. I thought Mayday was an interesting clone. And his just total deflation once he figured out what they were defending that whole time was just armor for their replacements. Really, I think helped... Like, once the clones rebel, we're going to really... That moment will really help inform that time. Because... Like, once you learn something about a clone, I think you learn a lot about all the clones, for the most part. Like,
are you saying they're not unique individuals?
They have a lot. Most of them are pretty similar, for the most part. Obviously, there are odd ones out, but for the most part, they all share a similar sense of justice and loyalty to doing what's right. So
very Django of them.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't think Django ever did anything right.
He raised his boy.
Until he died.
Whose fault is that?
Mace's.
Exactly.
But Jango was the one who jumped down there. I don't know. I mean, we don't get a great sense of who Jango Fett is as a person in Attack of the Clones, but...
I refuse to believe that Tamura Morris could play a mean character.
Anyways.
That man doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
Still, decent episode. Makes me feel like it did further along some things, not necessarily strictly plot wise, but the growing I'm trying to think the word, like
unrest.
Unrest is a good word amongst the clones. They
disruption.
Yeah. So, you want to talk about Mandalorian?
Yeah, and I actually forgot to bring this up. We were talking about in news. I don't know if you've heard this. There's this like rumor going around that that Jon Favreau almost threatened to leave The Mandalorian because Kathleen Kennedy wanted to change too much. You want to know what the source was?
Yes.
Some random YouTube channel. yeah, I just thought that was interesting. It's like,
The internet's constantly trying to make up reasons why Kathleen Kennedy is the worst thing on the planet.
I do think it's kind of funny. Like, Kathleen Kennedy's never done anything good. And it's like, have you looked at the credits for other Star Wars films?
And also, do you like Mandalorian? She's the executive producer on it. Like,
Yep. Anyways, Mandalorian episode 2.
Season 2, episode 2. Yeah,
Season 3, episode 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, I wrote down I'm thinking of Bad Batch. Thank you. So we're immediately back to Tatooine. Classic Star Wars move. Actually, not for the movies, just for the shows.
Very, very Mandalorian themed. I was so excited. I really thought for a second we were going to get a Boba Fett episode.
That would have been lovely.
I was really like, we might get a Boba Fett episode. All is right.
Nope.
No, we got
a small mention.
Pelly. We got name dropped.
So what is it? How is it both of these shows, The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian, both have annoying female character, like, who's constantly reoccurring and thinks she's amazing, and for some reason our main characters keep going back to her, but really her only skill is being a con artist. Yeah. It's weird that both shows have that nearly identical character. If I had a nickel
for each Star Wars show that had a weird con artist main female lead, I'd have 2 nickels. Okay, not to go back to Bad Batch, but it made me think. The first episode really like introduced Fee, that pirate. She was gonna have a big role.
Yeah, and she was in 1 episode.
No, she's in twice, I think. She was in the first one, I think, the introduction, or
yeah,
one of the
like she
episodes.
had 1 episode.
Oh yeah,
like she was briefly in that introduction, and then after that she had 1 episode.
Episode 5.
Thus far, maybe she'll show up again. But yeah, you're right. It was a weird thing that they did. And so the Mando goes back to Pelly on Tatooine. And I do think her grift is really funny, though. As annoying of a character she is to me, her grift she owns what? That she's annoying?
I mean, that's the shtick.
Yeah.
She rolls with it.
She is in league with the Jawas for the Jawas to steal parts off people's vehicles, charge them to fix it, and then the Jawas just bring her the part. It's really funny.
And Din is just so fixated on this IG droid. This man can't think of anything else.
Yeah, and she sells... But then, look, I know he's like kind of a criminal, and you got like both the Imperial Remnant after him, and he's not necessarily buddy with the New Republic. It's a large galaxy. Why come to this one woman repeatedly over and over? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And if it was like a really good character, like really, or they had like a really strong bond, I would understand. They don't. She's a con artist. She immediately starts trying to sell him this crappy droid that's falling apart and is lying to him about it.
Well, here's the thing. I think we talked about how is he going to get IG on his ship? I mean, granted, they fixed that with the droid, but I was like, are they just going to sit in each other's laps?
That's why I think the Starfighter is a terrible ship for him to have as his primary mode of transportation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bachelor's car for sure, but like
is not
carry anything.
Those ships aren't designed for transportation.
No.
They're starfighters.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. He's downsizing, I guess.
Nonetheless, she convinces him to take R5 as a kind of a scout to send into the mines of Mandalore to test for livability and whatnot. This has been the plot thus far. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what drove the first episode, was him needing that droid. That's why he went back to whatever the name of the planet was. Navarro. That's why he went and saw the Sindarans, or is what the little guys are called? Azellans. Thank you.
Hey.
That's why he's come here. Like, the first bit of this show has been driven by him needing IG droid, a droid to send into the mines, and it's resolved almost immediately. I just don't get the writing of this show so far. It makes no sense to me.
And I'm not... Normally I like to let things play out, but it's been interesting so far. Is this them? I don't know. Is this something that, because they reunited Mando and Grogu in Book of Boba Fett, they had to find other things, or they had to space out more shorter segments of the show in order to create 2 new episodes?
Possible. I really hope not. I mean, that's what we're seeing. Like, that's what we're seeing in the episodes is they are padding for time, which feels ridiculous. Yeah, like they rushed through reuniting them, and now I had thought, well, maybe these have so much story they want to tell that they need all that time. And so far, that is not the case.
This episode would have been a great first episode.
Absolutely. You cut out all the Navarro stuff. I mean, you can maybe drop in Navarro for a few minutes for whatever reason. You could have condensed the first and second episode down. You don't need that whole big fight with the monster at the start of the first episode. You don't really need the pirate stuff, but you could have very easily condensed down these 2 episodes into one. Like, we get
Maybe
almost
just one long episode, I guess.
I mean, you legitimately, like, I feel like this episode repeats itself. You have the whole segment of Mando first going down into the mines with Grogu, and then he gets captured, and then he sends...
Spoilers for this podcast.
Well, I guess we're kind of continuing the recap now. And then Grogu leaves to go find Bo-Katan to save Mando, and I feel like the show almost restarts.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of comments about that, but we'll get to it.
The way Bo-Katan and Grogu now, they themselves navigate down into the mines, feels like it's the exact same thing again. She fights those white creature things. She's talking to Grogu the entire time.
We're skipping ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Taking a small step back. So as they go down into the
I have things to say.
They send out the droid.
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
How far back do you want to go?
I just want to say I can't believe they're letting Mando go to Mandalore without 7 more pit stops.
Oh, sure.
That's what I wanted to say, because we've spent so much time on the IG droid, and suddenly there's Mandalore, and I was like, oh,
sure.
I also think there's an interesting comment that the dialogue, I feel like in this episode, starts to be weird here.
It feels very AI generated.
Yes, because they're in the ship and Din just goes, he's showing all like the parts of the ship to Grogu, and he's like, a Mandalorian has to understand their way around maps. Just Mandalorians, though. I know that's a weird thing to nitpick. But I thought it was interesting that I was like, no one else uses maps.
To address the thing you just said about the episodes being, well, really weirdly written, what is the name of that AI that people keep using to write their essays?
CPG.
These episodes are written by CPG. That's exactly what it is. Chat GPT. There it is. I just found it. I think that's what they've done. They're just letting an AI write these episodes. That would explain a lot.
I do just want to say, we do get a very interesting aerial shot of Mandalore when Din's coming in after he gets through the storm clouds. And I'm just going to say, Sabine would have never let this happen.
To Mandalore, you mean?
Yes, yeah. Sabine never would have let this happen to Mandalore.
Yeah, well, she committed to defending Lothal instead, so.
Honestly, a queen.
There's like one city on Lothal, though. I think
there's a Jedi temple, though. There's some.
That's now gone forever, I believe.
Yeah, maybe it did get. Had some interesting comments of. I don't know. It's weird. Mando sending the droid out to scout for him, which is I don't know. I think it's interesting. He wanted to send the droid out to scout to make sure it's safe, and then as soon as the droid doesn't report back anymore, he just pops open the top and hops out. Like, I don't know if maybe there's just I don't know. There's just a lot of concern over whether or not Mandalorian was breathable.
Yeah, the Mandalore. The planet of Mandalore.
Yeah, the planet
breathable.
of Mandalore was breathable. And he was just like, all right, pop the top.
It's kind of similar to that moment from Toy Story where initially Buzz refuses to take his helmet off, and Woody pops it open, and Buzz freaks out. He's like, "There is breathable."
I did find it interesting that Mando leaves Grogu on the ship, and it made me think of that meme when people leave like their pets in the cars, and it's like the air conditioning is on. He's listening to his favorite music. He has snacks. And then we have we get the fight scene with those weird white creatures,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of interesting. I think it was interesting to see that things are inhabiting Mandalore in the absence
Sure.
of the Mandalorians.
At first, I thought it was going to be like mutated Mandalorians or something,
man, that would've
but
been cool.
it's just whatever these creatures
They looked
are.
like bald wampas.
Bald. Oh yeah, so Wampas being the snow monster on
Yeah.
Hoth. Yeah, kind of.
And then, okay, this is one thing that sat with me. Sorry, I know we were going through the episode, but I wanted to nitpick some of it.
Okay.
So Mando comes in with Grogu and they're looking over that underground city, and he just goes, Bo-Katan was right. Mandalore isn't cursed. And we were confused because in the very previous episode, she says it's poisoned and says don't go.
Yeah, that line of dialogue is very confusing to me.
And then he goes, this is where Bo-Katan said to go. Did we have like a scene cut somewhere?
Yeah,
Or are they referring to a conversation way back in like season?
I think in the last episode she did tell him where the mines are.
True, but
she did not tell him. She told him not to go. But I guess previously she would have thought that Mandalore was worth repopulating. So it was a weird line of dialogue.
The start of many. Also, Bo-Katan autocorrects every time to Bo Karen in my phone.
That's very accurate.
So
wow, that's hilarious.
So a lot of the following spun the mic around. A lot of the following dialogue it's very NPC style. You know, between Mando. It's like they were trying to fill the space between, I don't know, it's like they were trying to fill the space since Grogu can't talk. But like at one point I think it's just, especially when Mando just says, look, that tunnel goes down. And it's like, I mean, it is kind of like how you would talk to your kid to point them out to something, but there's also a part of me that's like, I don't know, it felt more like tell, don't show.
Yeah, it all narratively, this episode feels very empty. Yeah. Visually phenomenal.
Gorgeous.
Especially the robot thing that kidnaps Din.
Yoink.
Is just an incredible design, rendered beautifully. I love the way it moves. It's a very cool piece, and the costumes on the monsters they fight, and generally
great.
just the environments look really
gorgeous.
good.
I think they did a really good job replicating the blocky style of Mandalore seen in the Clone Wars. Everything's very like cubed
interesting,
and very like geometric. So I think they had a good
Sure.
job. I think there could be an interesting possibility because, you know, we've got Din crawling around in the sewers and he sees all this armor. And so I think there could be an interesting subplot line of Din finding out about the weapon that Sabine made for the Empire. That target. I mean, I don't think they would do it because I don't think there's no way. I have very, very low doubts they would pull Sabine in before Ahsoka, which breaks my heart, but whatever. I don't, sorry. I don't know. It's interesting. You had a very funny joke though, because we had a very funny comment where, so we have Din, he picks up a helmet, an empty well, of course it's an empty helmet, there's no one in there. Picks up a Mandalorian helmet, and that's when the monster comes out and like snatches him. And you just said someone knew that Mandalorians can't resist the smell of Beskar armor.
Seems like that was very intentionally placed.
And then another comment, Grogu solo episode, which is
kind of
a little bit, but the I part almost gave me, when it first came out, I was like, it feels like a Guardian from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
without the panic-inducing piano music.
So that robot thing kidnaps Din, and Din is able to barely mutter to Grogu for him to go and get Bo-Katan. And they're very fortunate that they have that robot who can drive the ship.
Grogu's little baby thing is so
it can
fast.
book, man. It books.
He must have modified that thing.
Yeah, it's able to like it's able to float safely down over thousands of feet, potentially miles down. That, you know, Din himself needs a jetpack in order to safely float down, and Grogu's pod thing can safely do it. It is a very fun piece of technology.
We are getting to see some interesting. We're getting to see Grogu's strength in the Force.
Yes, as he's exiting the cave, one of those monsters drops down, and he's able to just force push him out of the cave.
You made a comment when Din is all caged up, and we see that creepy looking alien actually not be the entire robot, but he pops out because we see like the eye is very fleshy. For half a second, I really thought, are we getting a Babu Freak appearance?
Oh, huh.
I don't know.
Would have
for
been
like
kind of interesting.
Half a second, I thought about it, but then so we see this crazy robot-looking thing, and you said, "Is that what happened to Grievous?"
Yeah, it's almost like Star Wars is constantly pushing how much droid a creature can be while still having some biological material, and this thing is like just an eyeball and a brain, probably.
And Force theme intensifies.
Yeah, Grogu tries to save Mando using the Force, and for some of the music had some notes from the Force theme, and that's one of my favorite little lines to throw out. Force theme intensifies.
So they go back to Bo-Katan, and this part was really weird for me because there's such a tone shift from Bo-Katan. Her robot shows up. We've got an unscheduled visitor. And Bo-Katan looks out the window, and it's Din's ship, and she immediately goes, "Let's get rid of him once and for all." To me, that sounds like a threat, personally. Or she was, I don't know, gonna Sparta kick him off her driveway. And she gets down to the landing pad, and she says Grogu, and she immediately turns to her mech. She goes, "Download that astromech and find out where they were." Like, it's just immediate. I guess, I don't know, maybe her moral compass swung in for once.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, he went to Mandalore. I guess I should go save him.
Sure,
but,
that makes sense.
I mean, they got there really fast. Which very interesting how sometimes the travel in the other Mandalorian episodes is really slow.
Yes.
Versus they're flying everywhere through this episode. And then Bo-Katan just says another really weird piece. This is a trailer piece of dialogue. She fights off some more of those monsters and goes and looks at Grogu and says, "Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?"
Bizarre.
As if they haven't met before.
Yeah. Weird.
I don't know. And I don't like to go through a show and nitpick everything, but just the dialogue past this was just so odd.
And it's one thing to have cheesy dialogue. It's a whole other thing to have dialogue that doesn't make any sense. That just internally. Yeah, I totally agree. Weird line of dialogue.
So they go rescue Din, who's getting his blood drawn for some weird reason.
It was very uncomfortable, very visceral. Bo-Katan
grabs the Darksaber. I was curious if she was kind of going to go finders keepers with that, but she didn't. You commented how quiet that robot was when it snuck up on her. I thought it was very interesting. She's like, "Din, are you trying to say something?" I was like, "Girl, your peripherals, use them." So, now after they rescue Din, I did think we got some interesting information from Bo-Katan about, we got some Bo-Katan lore. Catan, I don't know, the board game. Interesting Bo-Katan lore about her growing up. Not a single mention of her sister.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Which maybe she holds guilt, and maybe she doesn't want to say that she's the younger sister. I don't know. Maybe that's like a royalty thing. I don't know. Prince Harry's spare. I don't know. I don't know. But I kind of find it interesting. With all her talk about being of the royal family, not a single mention of her sister ever being ruler.
Yeah. Speaking of which, on Reddit, someone pointed out that Bo-Katan was immediately good with the Darksaber and used it like a Jedi. And someone replied, "Her brother-in-law is a Jedi. He probably taught her a few tricks." And someone commented, "Brother-in-law?"
Oh no!
So Nelch replied, Obi-Wan tugging his Force Ghost collar.
That goes immediately into my... Cameron, that immediately goes into my next comment, which is, where's Corky?
Dead. Eviscerated.
No. The ominous... not ominous. The random nephew of Satine and Corky, who looks...
Satine and Bo-Katan's nephew, Corky.
Sorry. Satine and Bo-Katan's nephew, Corky. When there's only two of them, and he looks a little suspiciously like... Kenobi. And I think someone verified the ages of when Bo-Katan was in Clone Wars, and she was like young. Mm-hmm. So there's no way it could be her. Anyways, I'm a Corky 1 stan. I think that would be funny. I know George Lucas doesn't like that, but that's okay. And I thought this I'll save this for the meme corner. But so they do make it to the fountain. Rather,
excuse you. There's no segment on this podcast called Meme Corner. That is not its name.
Sorry, it's meme half an hour, meme minute.
Thank you.
It used to be Meme Corner.
It
used to be Meme Corner.
We changed in like episode 4. We were on episode 8. Well,
I'm sorry.
Or 9.
I'm a stickler for tradition. Anyways, so we make it to the fountain rather undisturbed.
Yeah, after Din nearly died, but
for the first time.
Yeah.
And so Bo-Katan's like, I'll give you the tour, and Din just goes for it. He starts reciting the creed and
then just disappears. He's gone.
And he falls like 200 feet underwater. And I don't think we couldn't figure out, did he just fall? Did he just sink like a bag of rocks because Beskar is heavy? Or did he get dragged by something?
Yeah, I mean, logically, it'd make way more sense if he was dragged by something, but it'd be very funny if
he got there so fast.
Yeah, because we do get a very cool moment of Bo-Katan jumping into the water and activating her jetpacks underwater.
So they work.
And she is flying through the water.
Yes, she's so fast.
And Din is nowhere to be seen. Like, there's like really wide shots underwater.
And like, it's deep. It's like probably like 100 feet. And she's flying through. Din is gone.
Really funny.
He got backroomed.
No clip through the floor.
No clip through the map into the... Oh no.
And then as they're returning to the surface, they see a very large kaiju-esque creature. The mythic mythosaur, which I had heard that name before, but I did not realize that is the Mandalorian symbol. Is the skull, most famously on Boba Fett's armor, and also on the armorer's wall, at least in Mandalorian season 1. I did not know that. I had always kind of meant to look up what that creature was, but I never had.
I think that is it the first King of Mandalore or tamed one.
Yeah, that's what they mentioned this episode.
We're leaning a lot into this Din chosen one kind of thing.
Sure.
And if that translation from the last episode can be trusted, very interesting implications.
Yeah.
Someone on Reddit translated that little...
You need to get closer to the mic.
Sorry, I'm too close.
I was trying to like signal to her and she wasn't getting the signal.
Anyway, so to repeat that, so someone on Reddit, so I do not know how correct this is, translated that glass chip that Mando presented to the armorer from Mandoa, the language, into English, and supposedly it is a translation from Exodus, the second book of the Bible. And so some interesting implications with this kind of central theme of uniting the Mandalorians and bringing them back home is very very much like the Israelites, like a Moses character. But that mythosaurus shot was very cool because it's alive. I would not have been surprised if they had just kind of showed a skull or something. But it's alive.
Yeah, big old boy, big creature. And that's the end of the episode. They get back out of the water and it just kind of ends, right?
And Bo-Katan's like, holy crap. And Grogu's been up there that whole time. He's just waiting.
So this episode is completely reversed on something I said last episode, which was I said I could not foresee who was going to lead the Mandalorians because I didn't think it was going to be Din and I didn't think it was going to be Bo-Katan because they had made her so thoroughly unlikable. but she just pulled such a 180 in this episode.
I know.
And
maybe she's got hope.
I also wasn't sure how anyone else would get the Darksaber from Mando.
He's going to give that thing away in the lottery. I don't know.
She just snatched it up in this episode. I wonder if technically she won it because
he's incapacitated.
Because he was defeated and lost it. So technically, that sword was that Grievous looking guy, and she picked it up and defeated him in battle.
I mean, but of course, I guess maybe there's the part where she's lost it once. So there's a lot of that discussion of, I think even if it was given to her the first time, so even if she won it back, are they going to trust her again? So, but he picked it up the second time when they was getting ready, put it on his back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. That. When she was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I gotta go to the water."
Yeah.
He picked it up, clipped it to his back.
Gotta go get a bath.
Gotta go get a bath.
Gotta be a Mandalorian again.
Gotta go be a Mando. No rest for the Mandos.
So generally, I like this episode. I just kind of wish it
would have been a great first episode.
I think if you combine the last two, I think this episode works fine on its own. It just feels like it's totally undermining everything set up in the last episode. Like it makes the first episode almost entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if they split it or to fit that 8 episodes, or
that's interesting.
I don't know, but I do think the reveal of a live mythosaur on Mandalore would have been a really good ending to the first episode. I did look up who wrote the episodes, and according to the wiki, Jon Favreau wrote all 8 episodes of the season, but he worked with Noah Clore on the 3rd, and then Dave Filoni is on the 4th and 7th episodes.
You know what that means? Episode 4 and 7 are going to have some great...
Sorry, I'm yelling into the mic.
Wait, what did you...
I said flashbacks.
Flashbacks. I thought you said fun facts, or you maybe said Bad Batch.
No.
I would love for live action Bad Batch.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be surprised if they live.
Live action Bad Batch is just Tamora Morrison in different makeup and prosthetics, even as Omega.
No. Imagine an episode, a live action episode with the Bad Batch and Boba. It's just all Tamora.
In animation, you have episodes that are entirely Dee Bradley Baker, and in live action, you have episodes that are entirely...
I'm here for it.
That would be Tamora Morrison's chance to do a very either Eddie Murphy or Rob Williams sort of thing of just playing a bunch of characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So, decent episode. Really respect all the
it looks gorgeous.
Craftsmanship.
It looks great.
Like the people who literally make these episodes do a really good job. I just wish the writing was stronger.
It was just so weird.
Yeah, and I understand making very large production in television and film is very strange right now with all the, especially even now with all the COVID restrictions. I get that's weird. I don't see how that affects the writing. I just don't understand how they can possibly make the writing this awkward. It's not even necessarily that it's bad. I would argue it's bad. I don't think that's necessarily what you would call it. It's just super clunky.
Yeah. Very NPC. A lot, and I feel like, and like I said, like sometimes when you talk to a kid, you point out the obvious, but it just feels like a lot of there. I don't know what is. At least when I was in my classes, it was always show don't tell.
Yeah, 100%. And then that would benefit. Less talking would benefit these episodes. And writing has never been the Mandalorian strong suit. The show has always been very simple. But I think that was the beauty of the first 2 seasons was it was simple and it was straightforward.
Doing too much.
And yeah, you never the writing didn't draw attention to its weaknesses. Maybe it's because it's just Jon Favreau. Maybe before they had more writers on it, maybe that helped keep it fresh and
maybe
more interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like there was a lot more writers in the past.
And also the director of this episode is a first-time director for the most part. She's done a lot of cinematography on major productions, but never directed anything huge. So that's also potentially part of it. I think she actually no never mind. She has previous directing credits. I'm wrong about that. She's directed television, but quite a bit of television. I was totally wrong about that. She directed an episode of Quantico, 2 episodes of American Crime, episode of Homemade, episode of The Morning Show, 4 episodes of Hightown, and 2 episodes of American Crime Story. I've never heard of any of these shows, but she definitely has directed before. I was incorrect on that. Nonetheless, So that brings us to the end of our discussion, these 2 episodes, and into everyone's favorite, very visual segment on this podcast, Meme Minute. Is it a parsec? Is it meme parsec? Is it meme astrosecond? That's for you to decide. What do you got for me, Rachel?
I got some good ones. So I saw this TikTok, and I don't have to play it, fortunately, to describe it. So someone posted, it was, they captioned it, Star Wars celebration moments that altered my brain chemistry. And if you've seen that trend on TikTok, it's like people posting important moments to them. And you scroll over to the next page, to the next picture, to slideshow, and it says Dad and I meeting Boba Fett. It's a picture of them with Tamora. It's absolutely precious, like absolutely amazing,
very cute.
And you scroll over to the next picture, and it says Dad and I meeting Jango Fett. And it's the exact same image, and this continues on for 6 more images of Dad and I meeting Captain Cody, Captain Rex, Commander Bly, Fives, Hunter, Wolf, all of these different clones.
Now, technically, he's not any of those clones. He's never played those clones, but it is still very funny.
It's good.
Well, he did play Cody. But not Rex or Hunter or anything like that.
Rex didn't exist at that point. Sorry.
Well, speaking of Boba Fett, I've got a meme here that's some images from the Clone Wars to Obi-Wan talking to Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan says, Anakin never talked to you about his past, has he? Ahsoka says, only to tell me he won't talk about it. Obi-Wan says, when he was younger, Anakin was a Boba Fett starship. Which is a joke to the fact that Boba Fett starship is called Slave One, but new toys and Legos, it's just called Boba Fett starship. Anakin was a Boba Fett starship.
Oh my gosh.
Love that meme. Thought it was very funny.
I saw this collection of images, and it was all the pictures of Grief Karga from each season, and it was just captioned, "Bro gets drippier every season." And it's talking about the improvement of all of his
costumes.
His costumes. I will say, the downside of Grief Karga getting a new outfit every season is that Hasbro is going to release another Grief Karga figure, and
that no one will buy.
Some people will buy, and if that's your thing, that's cool. I'm sick of them.
That will not sell nearly as well as the other characters, and will always be the ones that are on the shelf at the
They're
store.
still season.
They're like the vegetables. It's like Target's like, I will not give you new toys until you eat your vegetables, and your vegetables are Grief Karga and Lando.
The Lando one almost broke me because it got down to $8 and I almost bought it.
I have another one here. It's the popular image of, I'm blanking this actor's name. He plays Moff Gideon, but I believe this is an image of him from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's him in a suit.
Bad Batch.
It's him in a suit, fixing his tie, looking very serious into the camera, and it says, "You watch Ahsoka for Hot Alien. I watch Ahsoka for Thrawn. We are not the same."
I feel like there are people that will argue that.
And I think it's especially funny meme since he's from Star Wars, and
it's good.
The fact that both of us are very excited for Ahsoka continuing the Rebels story. That was a fun meme.
I got quite a few. I found some good ones. This one is fine. It says, they thought we wouldn't notice, but we did, and it's a picture of Kira and then Maul from Rogue One, and it's the picture of what's that gang called?
Real life gang?
Crimson Dawn.
Oh, right.
Crimson Dawn symbol and necklaces that they're wearing. And then there is a image from one of the prequel series where Jar Jar apparently has a very similar piece of jewelry.
Can I see?
I mean, I don't know if you can tell.
So
good luck. It's very hard to tell. It's definitely a stretch, but it's
funny. That is. Yeah, it looks similar, dude. It looks really similar though. That's really funny. Yeah, well, you know what? I would be more willing to believe that Jar Jar inadvertently started the Crimson Dawn gang than him being Darth Jar Jar.
Started the Empire.
Yeah, that's also true. Here's a really fun Photoshop. Rachel can see it on my phone, and she's very happy. So the popular recent film Cocaine Bear. This is a parody poster that says Spice Bear, and it has a Ewok on it instead of a bear, and spice being the chosen drug of the Star Wars universe, and it's really funny.
I feel like that is very for those of you that have played the Battlefront 2 mod where you play as a stormtrooper on Endor at night.
Yes, good point. Those are very relevant.
I've got one, and it's the scene from Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan goes to visit Daxter. Is that his name?
Dexter Jester.
Dexter's Diner, whatever.
Yeah.
And he holds up one of the things, I think, whatever killed Padme's assassin. He holds up and he goes, "Do you know what this is?" A picture of Daxter captioned "No," and then directed by George Lucas.
Yeah, the dart, the saber dart that he identifies. If he couldn't identify it, they would have never got to Camino, and then none of it would have happened. Yeah, very good. So this is a YouTube clip that I wanted to play. If you've never played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the original RPG on the Xbox, and I believe it was on the PS2 as well.
Did not have it.
There's a very popular battle droid in that game called HK-47, who's very famous for lots of his very fun dialogue. And here's a line of dialogue he had that I had never heard before.
Statement. Overwhelming odds is also a good tactic, Master. There are few Jedi that can long hold their ground against 100 attackers all firing at once, or being turned on by their own troops.
Now a montage of Order 66 happening on screen.
Wait, Nintendo might copyright strike us.
Oh no! Shut that down.
Turn that music off.
So HK-47.
We're gonna get sued.
HK-47 accurately predicting how to wipe out the Jedi is hysterical.
Thousands of years in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I've got a good one. It's the picture of Anakin and I almost said Padme and Palpatine at the opera, and it's Anakin, like one of his lines, and it says, "Our grandkids are going to kiss one day." And then the next shot is Palpatine looking at Anakin and says, "Your kids are going to kiss one day." and just visible concern from Anakin.
As much as Hayden Christensen could get that acting on his face.
Do you have any more? I got another one.
Oh yeah, so I sent you this TikTok. This TikTok itself is not inherently a Star Wars meme, but it says, "How do y'all get the job done so quickly? OSHA, OSHA violations." I sent that video to you with the caption, "The Jedi raising child soldiers, the Republic building their capital be one big city, the Separatists constructing a massive droid army, the Kaminoans breeding millions of clones, the Empire/First Order cranking out planet-destroying machines, the Rebels recruiting child soldiers."
Oh, so we have this funny habit where I send Cameron so many TikToks that it's just so many, and you don't always get to watch them all, and then and vice versa. Cameron sends me a million things on Instagram throughout the day that I never look at. Not because I don't want to, I just forget.
Yeah, fair enough. And for me, you sent me TikToks. I don't have TikTok, and so I have to watch it in my browser, and it's a hassle to watch.
Should I just save them and send them to you?
If you want to, that'd be easier.
Okay, fine. I'll make the change. Anyways, so I got another scene. It's the infamous Youngling scene from Order 66, which, side tangent, I got to watch that. I hope the mic didn't pick up my stomach.
I couldn't tell if I could hear it in the headphones or in my ears, but that was Rachel's stomach.
Ooh.
She hungry for more memes.
Hungry for more memes. I got to watch Revenge of the Sith with Cameron and his fiance, and it was the first time she had watched it. Would recommend. 10 out of 10 would recommend watching Order 66 with someone who hasn't seen it. But so it's the scene of the kid who steps forward to Anakin in the room, and it's captioned, "Master Scott, oh wait, sorry, Jedi Knight Skywalker, there are too many of them, what are we going to do?" Then that angry image of
I love that.
Anakin.
Here's a fun bit Star Wars video that you can just hear the sounds.
I know a sound that all men love.
Wrong.
Is that the seismic charge?
So good. Boba Fett seismic charge. Such an iconic piece
So
of sound
good.
design. Ugh, the best.
I've got one from Phantom Menace with Padme, when she meets Jar Jar, and she goes, "You're a Gungan, aren't you?" And this is captioned, "Yes, I am a member of the only other sentient species inhabiting the planet of which you are the queen. You, dumb woman."
Wait, can I see it? I'm very visual. I need sometimes I just need to see the meme. I think the lack you censoring it makes it lose a lot of its pump.
I'm sorry. I guess I could say it, but we keep it kind of PG in this Christian Minecraft server. Did you even hear what I said?
Yes, keep it PG in the Star Wars.
In the
Christian
the
Minecraft.
Christian
This
Minecraft.
Mandalorian, StarCraft. This the way.
Try again there.
I said Mandalorian on purpose.
I've got another one that it's from Revenge of the Sith where Padme is dying. You know, the robot says, "For some reasons we can't explain, we are losing her." Picture of Obi-Wan. "Master Yoda, should we use Force Heal?" Picture Yoda. "No, Lamau." No, Lamau.
Here's this is not necessarily a meme, something we say every week. This is just kind of a fun fact. Let me turn my volume up here.
I don't know if people know this. Maybe I'm not allowed to say this, but I don't care anymore. He directed that scene in Rogue One where, well, basically the whole end of the movie where Vader
Talking about Dave
comes through
Filoni.
and is like, and you see basically what's going to happen in A New Hope. He directed all that. He also recast Darth Vader. They had cast another actor, and they asked Dave to watch the movie to see what he thinks. And I remember him going, "Well, you got some of the buttons wrong, some of the lighting wrong. And why'd you hire an Italian?" And they go, "What do you mean?" And they go, "How'd you know we hired an Italian?" He goes, "Well, Darth Vader doesn't talk with his hands, but this one clearly does."
Oh, no way.
I don't know if people know this. Maybe I'm not
So I haven't gotten a chance to fact check this, but this is Freddie Prinze Jr., who
AKA
plays
the voice of Kanan Jarrus in Rebels.
Yep.
Sorry, beat you to it.
who is notorious for going on interviews and just like not caring about the Star Wars fan base, just
Disney
saying
has
whatever he wants.
Disney has no hold on this man.
I feel that also kind of makes him not necessarily the most reliable source because I think he likes the attention. I don't know if what he just said is true, but if it's true, it's very interesting. He said that Dave Filoni directed the infamous Darth Vader hallway massacre scene in Rogue One, as well as suggesting they recast the body of Darth Vader because the previous one talked with his hands too much. All very interesting and very funny. Also, if that's all true, one, I love the idea that from the beginning, Star Wars, the new Lucasfilm people recognize that Filoni would be a very good consultant. And two, that he started, I got really excited when he got to direct live action episodes of The Mandalorian. And the fact that started with him getting to work on the reshoots of Rogue One is also very cool. If it's all even true. I don't know.
And I will say, you can hear Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan in Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Which is really cool that
Yeah.
they acknowledge that.
And Ahsoka as well.
Oh, yes.
And
I thought you can hear Ahsoka. I thought you meant the
no.
show, and I was like, what do you
can
know?
Hear Ahsoka's voice.
Like, you got Dave Filoni in your,
I
your
got
phone number?
nothing. What else you got for memes?
I think that's kind of it.
That's it for me too.
I can't remember. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you saw this. It's sorry, I leaned back again. It's the clip from Whiplash where the band director is talking about, like, he finds the music book and he's like, if I see any one of those things again, I feel like I just got to play the audio.
Go for it.
So, and then I'll explain it.
If I ever find one of these lying around again, I swear to I will stop being so polite. Get the out of my sight before I demolish you.
So, people have put a green screen on what he's holding, which is a music book. And so what it is, when he says, if I see one of these things ever again, the green screen is all of the Hasbro Black Series Lando figurines. If I see one of these again, I'm going to demolish you.
good.
And then in that scene, someone comes in and he's like, get out of my face. And it's just captioned, but he's from the original trilogy. Do you need to see it?
No, it's hilarious.
It's so good.
Listening to it was great.
I love Lando. I do. I am just very sad when I continuously go to all the places in town that sell Star Wars figurines, and it's always Lando. And recently, our Target has carried like 6 of the Jawas. Of the Jawa character from Kenobi.
From Kenobi?
Yes, from Kenobi, the one Jawa character that sold him the toy.
Strange.
I know.
Wow.
And actually, there's a Kenobi figure, which is kind of cool. I've thought about picking it up, but do I really need 2 Kenobis just in different outfits? I don't. I love Kenobi. I love Obi-Wan. I just don't love him as much to justify. I'd rather have like 4 different Boba Fetts.
Sure. That's very you. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Maybe one day we'll watch Transformers.
We will. We'll get there. We're in the midst of a lot of Star Wars content. I totally forgot to make that comment that when the crawly droid thing kidnaps Din in this episode of The Mandalorian, I said, a Transformer! There's a Transformer in our Star Wars! We'll get there. There's a movie coming out this year, and we'll definitely build up to that.
I keep forgetting that movie's coming. We got to fill the time between Mando and Ahsoka anyways.
Do we even know when Ahsoka starts? I don't think it starts till the end of the year at earliest.
Like end of the year, I think.
So we'll have plenty of time. Once Mando ends, we'll have plenty of
There's so many
time.
It's so much time to watch Transformers G1. I feel like I just got to go through the episodes and pick out some good ones for you.
Sounds good. So as always, thank you so much to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Props to our very own Rachel for all of our artwork. Props to me for editing and producing.
Oh, yes. Wow.
I realized listening to something that all podcasts say that I realized I should have been saying all along is
thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsors. This week is brought to you by these chopsticks that Rachel has on the table. They're pretty cool,
your
actually.
Your fiance gave me those.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. They're nice.
We should just start
saying... There's no brand on them, though.
Imagine we should thank you to our sponsors, and we just name our places of employment.
Oh, no, definitely not. Though my work does provide all of the equipment. I just borrow it.
I mean, you're kind of in charge of it, so...
Yeah, but I don't own any of this. It's all only because I borrowed it from
our equipment.
So what I should have been saying all along was write us a review and leave us a review.
Oh, yes.
And I'll read it out on the podcast.
We're on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, but specifically you can review us on Apple Podcast. I don't know if you can leave a review on Spotify or not.
I don't know.
Review us on Facebook.
5 out of 5.
Tweet a review at us. However you want to communicate the review to us, do that, and we'll read it off on the pod.
If there is something particular, for those of you listening that have watched the Transformers G1 and you've got some crazy episodes that you would like us to watch,
absolutely.
send them on the Twitter. Because
just whatever social media,
but send it to us because I've started a list.
Yeah, send us memes if you want them shown on the pod. We'll definitely filter those. That's not a guarantee that it'll get on the pod, but I'll definitely consider it. And that's all we've got for this week. We're just gonna barely get in under half an hour. That's my goal, is to end it before half an hour. So we're gonna do it. It's only a minute 28, an hour 28 right now. So this is Cameron and Rachel signing off, saying, don't hire an Italian to play Darth Vader, because Dave Filoni will call you out in front of everyone. Good night, everyone. Everybody.